Hello, everyone. It's Sean. Welcome back to Having Fun Repairs. Klipsch SW-350 sent in by a customer. Similar conditions to the other SW series Klipsch subwoofers that I've repaired on this channel. As far as the LED or whatever not turning on, I'll switch it over to auto. We'll power it up here in a second. The design is very similar to the SW-450. Yeah, that's the exact same power supply, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe some subtle differences on the audio amplifier section. You see right here. It looks like we are missing a heatsink or something off of this. Not too sure. And we got heatsink compound down here. Must have been something else here to dissipate heat, or I don't know. But it's definitely missing from the board. Looks like somebody removed a heatsink. Okay. I'm going to assume at this point that this is a power supply issue like the other clips I have worked on. So the first thing we're going to do is power it up. I'm going to check the output, make sure there's no DC on it. Actually, I'll check the input for AC, check the output at the speakers, make sure there's no DC on that. And then that will probably tell us whether or not this board is okay. And then I'm going to check those mid-range voltages are rectified 48 or 50 volts DC, which should be here. And then the regulated positive 9 and negative 9 volts DC that should be on these pins here. Like I said, very similar, I assume, power supply, if not exactly the same. And then probably the only big difference is this guy over here, which, memory serves, it really doesn't look too different, but what I know, I'd have to have a side-on-side comparison at this point. Let's power it up. All right, I got a power cord in there. It's going to my dim bulb tester, variac isolation transformer, turning on. There we go. We now got AC, around 117 to 120 volts AC. So can we do some tests? Yes, we can. Take my multimeter. We'll put it in shot right here. Actually, can I move these lights? What's better for you? There we go. We'll put it up there. All right. Let's get into AC and just means that I don't have a good enough connection down in there. There we go. Yeah, 120 volts AC. You see that right there? That is good. Okay, let's switch over to DC. Let's check these output terminals. All right, so no MOSFET or transistor, output transistor, power transistor, whatever, is providing DC to those terminals, which is good. That means that there's hopefully not an issue with this board over here. Now let's check our rectified DC. Should be around 50 volts. We got 43, maybe it's around 45. I don't know. That's looking okay. I'm not seeing too much instability. Let's look at our negative 9 volts DC. That is there. Let's look at a positive 9. And yeah, there goes our issue. It's on the positive 9 volt rail. I feel like it's always on the positive 9 volt rail for the most part. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty standard capacitor job here. So I'm going to have to take this apart and we'll test some caps and see which ones need to be replaced. Let's check the negative voltage rail first. You can see 93 microfarad. That's pretty close to 100. Keep in mind this is in circuit. Let's do the positive voltage rail where we have the issue. And look, we're at almost double should be 100 microfarad. All right, now I think this, if I read it correctly, was like 400 something microfarad. Here goes the negative voltage rail 215. Keep in mind it's in circuit. What does the positive one look like? I need to take these 9-point pins off. Try this again. There we go. Yeah, it's not wanting to give us a value there like the other one. So we can, it's very possible that this one's bad as well. So we'll remove both of those caps. I'll test them out of circuit. We'll get them replaced and recheck everything. Well, I've got every cap removed. We have the 2 out of our positive 9 voltage rail, the 2 out of our negative 9 voltage rail. Both use a 100 microfarad cap. That will be in, where's it at? C26, and the other one's covered up with Celastic. C25, it's looking like. Yeah, C25, C26 down in there. The looks like the 470 microfarad cap is going to be C23, and then the 220 is C24. The C23 one is covered up with Celastic, and I just don't feel like scraping all that away. It's kind of a pain to work on these things with all the silicone compound or Celastic, whatever they put everywhere on this thing. It's ridiculous. Anyways, we can check the values here real quick. Let's go with that with our negative, our positive voltage rail first, the one that we're having issues with. And let's say 70 microfarad. Okay, so for 100 microfarad cap with a 20% tolerance, you're looking at 80 being the lower on the lower end. So this one is outside of 20%. Now I don't know necessarily if these are 20% caps. I'm assuming it, but oh look, even with the negative voltage rail, it's 100 microfarad cap. It's way over tolerance. So we'll be replacing these on the negative and positive voltage rail. Let's look at our 470. Assume 20% tolerance. And at 470, we should be somewhere between 376 to 564. And yeah, this cap is super bad. It's not even registering. So that means that there is a it's open internally, or something else is going on. Okay, let's look at the 220. Should be somewhere between 176 to 264. Here goes our 220 microfarad, 16 volt. All of these are 16 volt caps, easy to replace. And so this one's actually intolerant. So we can see why the positive voltage rail was still functional, even with that 100 microfarad cap being slightly out of tolerance. Okay, well, slightly, yes, way out of tolerance. We're going to replace all 4 anyways. Okay. Issues on the negative and positive voltage realm. It's only a matter of time before this electrolytic, because you got to think these things sit in a lot of heat, so that bakes them. It's only a matter of time before this 220 goes bad. I've already done the prep work minus cleaning on our PCB, so I'm just going to grab the caps and get them replaced, and we'll power this thing up, see if it works. first power up from repair. Nothing's blown up. Let's do some quick voltage checks. Again, AC at the input. We got it. So that's good. 120. Let's verify our regulated DC is there. Yep. It is there. And now let's verify that our rectified DC is here. -9, +9. So all that is back. And I didn't realize that was the input. I should have checked with the multimeter. The output's there. So that entire section, forgive me, these are input speakers. I don't know what I was thinking. Or input audio sources. The output's over here on the board. That's where I should have checked if there was DC or not. All right, so let me get that check with my multimeter there. I'm going to kill the input source. We'll go over to DC. Oh, some of y'all were probably screaming about that. You're checking the wrong thing. I work on so many things that just... All right, yeah, so that is the output. And yes, there is no DC there. Okay, so that's still good. I got my probe set to 10 by O-scope and 10 by. I'm going to connect this. It'd be easier if I did this off camera. Hold on a second. Okay, we got it now. I hate the way these Klipsch subwoofers, how they present. I have to heat sink using a clamp, the IC there. For the time being, replace that cap over on that far right hand side. Went ahead and did that too. It was dropping the -48 down a bit. It wasn't out of tolerance, but it was pretty close. So I just went ahead and replaced it preemptively. You can see there on the O-scope the positive, one side of the waveform, positive slope presented on one pin to the speaker, and then the other side presented, negative slope presented to the other side of the speaker. I hate the way Klipsch does this. Oh, I just lost the other side, but that's how they do their speaker setups. It's not a combined waveform. I mean, they present one half of the slope to one side, the other half to the other side. That's how they do it. Hold on a second. Pop this off. Anyways, there we go. I'm gonna move the input to the from the left channel input. We're gonna go to the right channel input, and yeah, both channels are working there. So we will call this amp good. I'm gonna tidy it up, box it up, get it back to the customer. If you've enjoyed this episode, let me know by leaving your comments in that description. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.